My name is Dwight Siemiaczko. I live in eastern Kanawha County in the town of Holly Grove, West Virginia. I've lived on Pine Creek my whole life. The coal has been mined on Pine Creek for decades. One of the things historical about Pine Creek was the mine wars, the Bull Moose Special and Mother Jones. The town I live in, Holly Grove, is where the Bull Moose Special came through one night in February of 1913 and shot up the tents. The coal miners were striking for better wages and working conditions, and then a coal operator by Quinn Morton, who owned mines on Pine Creek, was resisting the Union, and he and a sheriff of Kanawha County by the name of Bonner Hill came through one night, February 7th, if I'm wrong, 1913, and shot the tents in Holly Grove. Well, at times, you know, in the early 1900s, it was hand loading the coal, and you loaded by hand into cars. You had horses or ponies that pulled the coal out of the mines. Then in the 50s, it went to mechanized, more so, where you had loading machines, and there was a reduction in the number of coal miners due to mechanization of coal mines. And in the 70s, we started seeing strip mining and mountaintop removal starting, and that has had an impact on employment in the coal industry. Mountaintop removal is something that the coal operators use that they can get more coal cheaper. It's cheaper to have a mountaintop removal site than it is a deep mines. It don't take nearly the number of people, and it's a lot less expensive to operate. My first recollection of what coal mining could do to the environment, I vividly remember one day riding the school bus home, riding the school bus up Pine Creek. And Pine Creek, to me, like every other young child, young boy living on Pine Creek was everything to us. It was fishing, swimming, playing in the creek. But on this one particular day, Pine Creek was black. It was coal black. And I remember standing on the bridge at Holly Grove and looking in the creek, and the creek, as I said, was coal black, and the coal company had cut a sediment pond loose and let it discharge into Pine Creek. And I remember literally seeing thousands upon thousands, and I'm not exaggerating when I'm saying thousands upon thousands of fish coming down Pine Creek belly up. I remember seeing fish swimming on bank trying to get out of the water and able to live. And it was total environmental annihilation of all living organisms in Pine Creek. And when I say of all living organisms, I'm including plant life, animal life, fish. Everything was killed. And that happened in the early 60s. And here we are today in 2006, and Pine Creek has not recovered yet from that one day back in the early 60s when a coal company cut loose a sediment pond in Pine Creek.
So, what's a sediment pond?
A sediment pond is where a coal company discharges the water that is used to clean coal. The contents of that will be coal fines, silt, clay, and the chemicals used to clean the coal. It's a toxic solution, and it's poisonous. And as I learned as an early child, what it can do to the environment, it is deadly. It's a deadly mixture to the environment. You know, impoundments 30 years ago, 40 years ago were small. Today we're talking about impoundments that exceeds 1-2 billion, and that's billion gallons of water and slurry. They're astronomically huge. There's a coal impoundment in eastern Kanawha County, close to the Fayette County line. It's called the Dunn Hollow Coal Impoundment. It contains 1.2 billion gallons of coal slurry. approximately, when full, and it's near full capacity now. If this cold impoundment would have a catastrophic failure, I believe, as others, that it would bankrupt the state of West Virginia, and this is why I feel this way. It would empty into the Kanawha River. If that slurry pond would fail, I can foresee that the London locks, which is located approximately 1 mile below that cold slurry impoundment, would be breached. If that locks, which most likely would be breached, would breach, it will release all the water in the navigational pool. That would have an impact downstream at the Marmet locks, and most likely the Marmet locks would be impacted, and downstream to the Winfield locks. It would just be like a domino theory. What we would have would be the Kanawha River that could not be navigated. There's no way you could have commercial traffic on the Kanawha River. That would stop the transportation of coal. That would cripple the chemical industry in the state of West Virginia in the Kanawha Valley. We would most likely have a tsunami effect coming down the Kanawha River, the flooding. It would shut down 3 hydroelectric plants, which are located at the Winfield, Marmet, and London locks. We would lose the John Amos Power Plant and the Kanawha River Power Plant, which are 2 coal-generating power plants. If that would happen under what they call an ORW, an Operational Reserve Warning, most likely we would have a blackout, not only in this state, but probably the surrounding states. We'll have a collapse of the electrical grid. We would not have no fresh water intake, no sewage. And you're not going to build the locks back overnight. How are you going to supply people with water from Charleston downstream in such a short time?
What major places are reliant?
The sad part about coal slurry impoundment is that's old school. You know, they don't have to do that to process coal. There's other ways to clean coal, and you don't need coal slurry impoundments. That's the sad part. But here again, it's economics. That's the cheapest way to do it. And that's the way the coal industry is going to do it until they're forced to do it another way. Mountaintop removal, in my opinion, and many people, many of my neighbors and friends, it's total environmental devastation. We're not going to be able to go back and say, uh-oh, we made a mistake here. We'll correct this, because you can't correct it. From a distance, a mountaintop removal site looks like a green pasture, but it's hydroseed. You know, we call it grass on steroids. But when you go up close and look what lies beneath that grass, it's rock. There's no topsoil there. There's no way that plant life can survive there under normal circumstances. It's artificial. You know, I will never see my children, my grandchildren, great-grandchildren will never see a white oak tree bear acorns on a mountaintop removal site. It's not going to happen. We'll never see medical plants such as ginseng and yellowroot bear on a mountaintop removal site. It's not going to happen. It's not there, folks. It's not going to happen. I know in private conversations I've had with deep miners and surface miners, there's a bitter taste about surface mining. I've had miners who have participated in strip mining and mountaintop removal tell me that, you know, that they didn't like what they was doing, but it was the only means that they had to provide money and food for their families, and they had no option, no choice. And they're kind of caught between a rock and a hard spot due to economics. I see a groundswell of people starting to resist. I see pockets of resistance. I see groups of people starting to talk to each other now about mountaintop removal, about coal slurry injections. And people are starting to realize if it can happen in this community, it can happen in our community. And I believe in the next few years that we're going to see more resistance to mountaintop removal, more resistance to coal slurry injections. I see that on the horizon, and I am very optimistic that it's going to happen. You know, these mountains are spiritual to a lot of people. These mountains protect people, you know, and there's other ways to mine coal besides mountaintop removal. And the reason we're doing it today is because mountaintop removal, the coal operator their point of view, it's cheaper. It's economics. It's not about the people in West Virginia. The money doesn't stay here. It goes out of state. And people are starting to realize that. In the past, here on Pine Creek, the coal operators brought in a Gatling gun to kill the miners. That was in 1913. And had the sheriff of Kanawha County with him while he done it. And, that wouldn't hold today, but I still think that the coal industry is singing out of the same song out of the same book, just maybe a different verse.